weekend.
Yeah. You guys didn't go for very long, did you?
I think we're on.
Good for you. I thought you'd be planting a garden, because that's what I was doing.
Mother's Day. Three cucumbers coming up already. There's some water left in it.
Just a little bit, and then we'll get going. Okay, it is just after 2, and I would like to call our meeting to order this afternoon. But before we begin our meeting today, I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene people, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. So before we get started, I'd like to welcome the grade 9s. I think this is the last class that are being brought over to listen and see how a meeting is conducted, and hopefully you have some questions before you have to leave. And how long are you here today?
Just half an hour.
Half an hour? Okay, so thank you very much for bringing the students out, and as I have said before, there's lots of information on our website, and anybody is welcome to come to any of the meetings that we have here. All of our meetings are open, so please feel free to reach out if you have some questions. One of us is always around, and if you can't get a hold of a counselor, you can always phone the office or stop in at the office and speak to the staff. So with that, I would like to have the adoption of the agenda resolution, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. New other business, 6.7 leach evaporator purchase, 6.8 AMM June district resolution endangered species, and 6.9 AMM June district resolution contracting local businesses.
Okay, thank you for that. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Strang seconds. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda for today's meeting? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And I will have the resolution for the minutes, please.
Resolve the minutes of the May 9th, 2023 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Boulanger. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And I should have mentioned when I started the meeting that not all of council is here today. We have 5 of us here. One of our councillors is on his way to Toronto. We're heading out tomorrow, some of us, for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference, and it is in Toronto this year, so we will be gone for a couple of days. And I think that Councillor Horbis may also be away. So we also have with us today our CAO Deepak Joshi and our Manager of Admin and Planning Heather Stanek. So I apologize for that, but we'll move into number 5. We don't have any delegations today, so we'll move into number 5. Communications for action, and the first one we have is the East Beaches social scene and an invitation to attend Lobster Fest. And I'm not sure if there's any other information. It's on Saturday, June the 10th. Heather, was there interest from any council members to go? Okay, so we can just receive this as information then, if there was nobody wanting to attend.
We're receiving this information, and we'll move on to
Yeah,
item
5.2, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. And actually, there's a number of webinars, as you can see on the agenda, all the way up to 5.5, but we'll do each of them separately. The first one that they're putting on is Efficiency Manitoba webinar, and that one is tomorrow. And I believe we might have a resolution for that. I think a staff person is attending that one.
I didn't do a resolution for that.
Yeah, we don't need a resolution,
Okay,
Madam
great.
Mayor, for a staff
Yes.
member to attend, but as part of this, one of our, Heather will be attending, and then she'll report back, because it's pretty critical that we have some representation on this webinar.
Were there any counselors who are not heading east wanting to attend this webinar? Not this time around? Okay, so then we can move on to 5.3. Again, it's the AMM, and it's the Atlantic Infrastructure Management Network Assessment webinar. And I think Deepak has it up on the screen there. Was there any interest from anybody to attend that one? So we can.
Scott.
Oh, Scott is going to attend that one? Okay.
Resolved that Councillor Scott Spicer be authorized to attend the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Asset Management webinar via Zoom on May 31st, 2023.
I think I know what you're looking at.
Moved by Councillor Belanger,
Scott Mazerovich.
seconded by Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. And we're chuckling because the name is wrong in the resolution, but it will be corrected for the minutes, so. And 5.4, AMM again, Long-Term Care Senior Strategy webinar. Any interest on that one?
And that's on June 1st, Madam
Right.
Mayor.
Yes, and if I was able to, I would go, but I'm at another conference that day, so have to pass.
Heather and I'll see if we can send a staff member just to
Okay.
make sure that there's some representation.
Thank you. And moving on, 5.5, Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and I believe this is the last one, and that one is June the 8th for the age-friendly webinar. And I
Correct.
think, I know I would like to go to this one, and I'm not sure if there's any other members of council who are interested.
I think you're the only one been identified, Madam Mayor, so I'll pass the resolution.
Thank you.
Resolved, Mayor Peebles be authorized to attend the Association of Manitoba Municipalities Age-Friendly webinar via Zoom on June 8th, 2023.
Madam Mover, please. Councillor Strang, Councillor Spicer seconds. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, 5.6 is the Red River Polytech graduation seminar or ceremony. And I think we had this on our meeting agenda last, or 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, if no one else can attend, I can try and get back, but I have a couple of other things going on that day, and I'm actually supposed to be away, so I was hoping that someone else might be able to attend. Anybody else interested in going to this one? It's at the COM at 3 o'clock on June the 8th.
We know in our deputy mayor. Yes, we don't.
We don't. What we can do, Madam Mayor, is just hold up on this resolution. We pass it after the next meeting of council when somebody's able to attend.
Okay,
Just pass it at that point.
I'm just
Unless you'd
wondering.
like to put your name forward at this point, and then you can make it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering though, can you please open it again?
It's at 3 o'clock, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was more interested in,
Location.
yeah, well, it's at the COM. 3 o'clock. Oh, RSVP is for the 26th, which is Friday, so if we can talk to Councillor Horbis before Friday. Put my name in the resolution, and if he's not able to attend, I will try and get there.
So Resolved, Mayor Feeble-Corn be authorized to attend the Red River Polytech Convention at the Southwick Recreation Complex, Southwick, Manitoba, on June 8th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Belanger, Councillor Spicer, second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, the next one we have is for our June district meeting for the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and I think what happened here was Councillor Horvis wasn't sure if he was going to attend when we passed the resolution, and he's now able to, so this resolution is for his attendance on the 16th of June.
Correct, Madam Mayor. So resolved, Councillor David Orbis be authorized to attend the AMM Eastern District meeting at the Ricker Young at Hearts Club, Ricker, Manitoba, on June 16th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Sutherland, seconds. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, 5.8 on our agenda is the Manitoba Association of Municipal Emergency Coordinators, and it's their annual conference, and it's a one-day conference this year, and it is on June the 20th, and I believe that our emergency coordinator will be attending, and I'm not sure if there's any members of council who are interested in attending.
I don't think there was any interest on this one from council members, and so our emergency coordinator will attend, and who attends every year, and then they'll report back to council on the details related to emergency management.
Right, and I guess if someone from council decides that they would like to attend, we do have one more meeting prior to this date, so we could pass the resolution at that time, so. Okay, so we'll receive this one as information for today.
Would you like us to bring it back?
No, just if somebody shows interest that they would like to be attending. And the next one, 5.9, is the Red River Basin Commission, and that is a meeting at the North Chapter of the Red River Basin Commission, and we are hosting that meeting on June the 14th. So I'm not sure if all of council is going to be attending, and that's probably what the resolution says. Was there anything that you wanted to add, Mr. Administrator?
No, just to verify if all the council
I'm not sure,
would like to
I'll be
attend.
here, so I'm not sure I could.
You did, you picked on it.
Okay, so the meeting will be held here, so what we'll do is pass the resolution for it.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
I wasn't sure because I didn't know you wanted all of us there. Like I assumed the mayor and Sandra would be going, but
I think because we're hosting,
Sure.
if everybody wanted to come, that would be fine. I know in other municipalities, when we were in East St. Paul last time, I think it was more than just the representatives were there from council. So, you know, when you're hosting it, it's a little bit different, and I have no problem if everybody wanted to attend. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Madam Mayor, just to clarify for Councillor Spicer, that all members are welcome to that meeting. So if all councils go from every municipality, everybody's welcome to it.
So did you change your mind?
put me down.
So Madam Mayor, may I suggest that we pass it as the mayor and council?
Yeah, that will work, and then that leaves it open for any member of council to attend, so. Okay.
Okay, so resolve Mayor Feeble-Corn and council be authorized to attend the Red River Basin Commission North Chapter meeting at the Arm St. Clements Municipal Office on June 14th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Or Councillor Strang, second Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion?
I just, what is the time on that again?
7 o'clock. On
It's
the-
open if you can't make it, Councillor.
Well, I put my name down, but I was just gonna write it to, I'm going to GMCC meeting.
At what time in the evening, or because they're usually at 3, aren't they, or 4?
5 o'clock.
Well,
Forgot about it.
Might be back in time.
Might be. I was just gonna put the date and I will go on June 14th.
well,
Well-
the names are all in the resolution.
Yeah.
So if you're back in time and want to pop in, that's not a problem at all, so.
Okay.
You might have a few carrots from the garden, but
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, I think we had a mover and we had a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. The next one is the Interlake Tourism Association, and that is their annual AGM, plus they have a couple of other things going on that day, and I'll let you go through those, please, Deepak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, as well as they're having their annual general meeting at Gaffers Restaurant. They also have a boat tour, and they're also looking at having some networking and a full dinner, as well as sort of a trivia night in the evening. And so it's a full night event, and it's on June 15th, and it starts really at 4:30.
Okay.
So I think we have some that have been identified to go to that one. So Mayor, resolve Mayor Peoplecorn and Councillor Sandra Strang be authorized to attend the Interlake Tourism Association Annual General Meeting at the Gaffers Restaurant and Lounge on June 15th, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, carried. And just on that note, because we have two members of council away, if either of them show an interest, can we bring this one back for June or?
June 13th.
13th, yeah. So I know it's just a couple of days away, but if they let you know that they would like to attend, we can bring it back for that day. Okay, thank you. And 5.11 is Minister of Health, and this event actually was on Friday, and I think I got the invitation on Tuesday. So I did go. It was an awesome announcement because we are getting 2 new CT scanners at the Selkirk Regional Health Center. One is to replace the one that we now have, and the other one is brand new, and they feel with the 2 machines that there'll be a lot more diagnostic work that could be done with those 2 machines. So it was a very nice event. Minister Gordon sent her representative, Janice, is it Janice? I can't think of her last name. She's another minister, but she's for seniors health, I think. So, and then of course our 2 MLAs were there from both sides of the river, Minister Wharton and MLA Lajean were both there, so.
Okay, so we have the resolution to authorize for that announcement. Resolve Mayor Peoplecorn be authorized to for her attendance at the Minister of Health announcement at the Selkirk Regional Health Center, which was held on May 18th, 2023.
Can I move it, please? Councillor Spicer, second, please. Councillor Sutherland, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we'll call a question. All those in favor, opposed, and carried. Okay, 5.12 is, I've got something different. This must have been added. 5.12, go ahead, please, Deepak.
So this is for the North Selkirk Regional Comprehensive Schools grad celebration. Madam Mayor, you've attended this in the past, and they're asking for attendance again and for a brief reception as well at 7 p.m. on June 7th.
Right, and I guess I have to say that was a week that I was supposed to be away, so if someone else is interested in going, I would appreciate it, and if not, I will clear my calendar to make sure that somebody is there. We usually have 3 or 4 students that get bursaries from our municipality that we provide the money for, so and really you don't have to, you just get up there to present, like they have the bios and where the grade 12 students are going and everything, so there's no really prep work, it's all prepared for you ahead of time, so. You'll go to
That's
that one?
3?
No, that's not till the evening, I
Till the
think
evening,
that's
7
7 o'clock. Yeah, yeah, no, I think one of the other ones, that Polytech, the RRC Polytech one is in the afternoon, but this one is for 7, and they ask that you arrive for 6:30 so you can get your envelopes with your words of wisdom for the students on them, so.
Okay.
You're still good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
June,
7.
7.
okay.
And if something should happen, Councillor Boulanger, and you're not able to attend, if you could let Deepak know a day or two ahead of time, and we'll see what we can figure out then.
Okay.
Please let Heather know, as.
Oh, yes,
I'll be on.
Deepak's not gonna be here.
Well, you'll have access to email.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so, the next one I have, and I don't know if I'm on
Do we
there.
need a resolution for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Resolved, Council Belanger be authorized to attend the grad award ceremony at the Ward Selkirk Regional Comprehensive School, Secondary School on June 7, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call a question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. The next one we have is for an invitation to a charity event in the RM of Lac Devani, and that is the Eastern District Municipal Golf Tournament. Go ahead, please, Deepak.
Yes, Madam Mayor, this is their charitable event that they are holding on July the 6th. Starts off at 9:30. Registration fee for this is $130 per person, and that includes golf cart rental and so forth. This has been a charitable event that the RM has supported in the past, and the request is to see how many people would be attending. Whether we're sending 1, 2, 3, 4 as necessary.
Okay, anybody here that is interested in attending this event?
You gotta put my name down.
Pardon?
I think I put my name down.
Okay, so Scott's gonna attend. I won't be attending. Okay, I won't be attending this one, I don't think.
Did we want to bring this back and see
I
if
think
there were
we
any other
should, yes,
councillors who
because
come?
with 2 away,
If they usually.
yeah.
They go.
Okay.
I think we should bring it back. So do we want to pass this, or do we want to do one resolution at the next meeting?
Probably do one at the next meeting, I think.
Okay.
Is there a deadline for registration?
Probably not.
Good question. By June 9th, so yes.
And our meeting is the
13th.
13th.
You could do an email,
Yeah.
and it's done.
Yeah, we'll do it over email,
Yeah.
electronically.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is the Association of Rural Municipalities, and this is the golf tournament that we're hosting as part of that event, and it's the 24th annual golf tournament, charity golf tournament as well. It's at Netley Creek Golf Course in RV Park, and this year we've selected the course location, and as part of our annual membership drive. And so we have as a resolution for the members to attend, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Go ahead.
Resolve Mayor Feeblecorn, Councillor Scott Spicer, and Sandra Strang be authorized to attend the Association of Rural Municipalities Annual Golf Tournament at the Netley Creek Golf Course on August 3rd, 2023.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Scott.
So I'm thinking this would have the same challenge, we have a couple missing.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Madam Mayor, I don't pull my golf clubs out, I will volunteer since we are hosting this.
Yes, and I don't, As most of you sitting around the table know, I don't golf either, but I do go and volunteer at some of these tournaments because they're always looking for an extra set of hands to do something.
I just thought since we're hosting.
Yeah. Great, yeah, we'll find something, Christine will find something for you to do.
So, but I'll try the other.
Yeah, if you wanna try your hand at golf, I'm sure that some team will welcome you.
Maybe not.
Okay, so we're gonna pass this one today and then bring it back if we need to.
I think we'll do the same thing by email on this.
Email,
one.
okay, yeah. Okay, so we won't worry about that, and we are kind of at the end of the communication, so it is 25 after or 26 after, and I was just gonna ask the students if they have any questions, or if their teacher has any questions. Rita, you have anything that you wanna share with us today?
All right.
Has a question.
Go ahead.
What's the charity for?
It depends which event we're looking at. The last one we
The golf one, yeah.
Yeah, the last one we talked about that we are hosting, what we do is any of the money that is collected or made at that particular tournament, what we do with that is we pull it together from other events and we use that at Christmas time and we give it to different charities that help all sorts of different people. Like we have given to STARS, and where else have we given?
Do
Who
the
else?
hamper programs.
Hamper programs and different things like that. It doesn't come back to the municipality, we give it to charitable organizations so that they can help. I know last year some of it went to the local food bank, some of the money. So depending on how much money we make, we see how many charities there are and we divide that money up equally. If there's 6 charities and $600, then everybody gets $100. But usually it's a lot more than that.
And Madam Mayor, the Lactabani golf tournament, it supports the Lactabani Area Food Bank as well as the Lactabani Community Garden and the food hamper program there as well. And also for the Lee River Trail for programming and development,
Okay.
as well as the youth center there in Lactabani. Those are the things that they've identified.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment. At the first council meeting I brought the nines to, there was talk of reducing the speed limit at Broken Head, and kudos to you and the Broken Head community for getting that done so quickly. I mean, that speed limit was reduced within a month of that meeting where you announced that you were going to go to the province, so well done. I guess they don't have any streetlights up yet, but that could be coming, right?
No, and I think it was Chief Blue Sky and his council that did all the legwork on that. We
Yes.
did support them and we did pass the resolution, I think the day you were here.
Yeah.
Supporting them, and I know I had a couple of conversations with him, but they did all the legwork with the
Good for
province.
them.
And I was really glad to see it done so quickly.
It was really quick.
Yeah.
Chief Administrator Joshi said it could take months,
Yeah,
and it was done very, very quick.
very quickly, yeah.
My other comment or question is, these guys have never been to a council meeting, and this is my third in a couple months. There was a lot of invitations that you guys had to go through. Is that typical of a May, June council meeting when you're getting invites to all these AGMs and stuff? Yeah, because I know at the previous other 2 meetings, there was more talk of, Blue Bridge repair and the Broken Head speed limit and more things having to do with the community. This one, half an hour of invitations to get through.
Yeah.
But that's typical of this time of year?
Yeah, it is,
Okay.
it is. And as I said, all the meetings are recorded, so if somebody is curious what else we talked about, like we do have some planning items on again
I
at
noticed
6 o'clock this evening, and that will all be online. You can get it through YouTube or just through YouTube, right? Or through
Yeah.
our website.
Through our
So I
website.
go to the
you can
website.
see-
Yeah.
You can go directly on our website. On YouTube, we'll usually have our planning, so the other half of this meeting.
Right.
So today, council starts at 2 o'clock, and then they continue on with regular business, and then after 6 o'clock, they start the planning matters.
Right.
And so there'll be people coming in for subdivisions, rezonings, and that one is also usually recorded on YouTube as well as online, because many people will come on using Zoom. They can't attend the meeting personally.
Right. A couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Me?
Yeah.
I was actually wondering where you got
Lisa Tyndallstone behind you. Many, many years ago, just when the quarries were starting by Chorney's Corner, which is Road 80, so just northeast of here, we were told that when they blasted at the quarry, that rock flew into one of the farmers' fields, and they were quite concerned that it was going to be a very, very, I guess, aggressive mining operation there when they saw that fly rock come through, so they brought it here, and it's been parked on our floor ever since.
So it was a
So that's pretty heavy.
delegation.
So you can imagine how.
You don't think
I think there was a question in the corner first, in the first row.
Here,
what do you do with these meetings? Is it just for like raising money, like the events?
The events,
Yeah.
how do you mean, is it just for raising money at these meetings? These meetings, we deal with different things that do with the municipality, but I'm gonna hand it over to our CAO to maybe answer the question a little bit better.
So council is elected to govern the municipality. So there are many things that come forward that require council's direction to myself as the CAO and to the administration to deliver on services. So they are responsible for these meetings. There's previous meetings that have to deal with budgets, where there's new bylaws that are being created. Those things get all discussed as part of this. So the meetings are organized in a fashion that various items have been identified so that it stays consistent for people that may be observing and for open democracy.
So
And so-
it's not about the reason.
It's not all about raising money. Sometimes it's about raising taxes, sometimes it's about
Spending money.
spending money, doing services, so it could be anything from, if council wants to change a policy. So as an example, council sets the policy that says how often we will go out and cut the grass on all the roads. And that's dependent on the budget that they have from the taxes that they're able to collect. And so from that, they may say, well, we want you to change that. They would give direction to myself and the administration to be able to come back with a report on it. So what you'll see here is that the first half was all about invitations and communications for action. So these are communications that the RM received. The rest of the agenda is new other business. So in here, we're talking about good roads, some nominations for streets, like somebody's putting in a street name in a new subdivision and they have to come to council for approval for those kinds of things. Or we have bylaws coming in, so the council also approves all the financials. We have bylaws that are coming forward, so there's a bylaw for curbside pickup or garbage pickup that's going to be coming forward. So that's part of the presentations today. So that can go anywhere from 2 o'clock till all the way up to 6 o'clock, covering all those items. And council has been here from 2 o'clock till way past midnight, dealing with various items because then you get into the planning aspects. So they have 2 meetings a month, and that's to govern the municipality and run the municipality.
That's your question?
Yeah. Is that the front entrance with the ramp over there?
This is the front entrance.
No, that one.
That one, this is the front entrance, and that one is for handicap access, because we don't have a ramp on the front entrance, because it's an older building. And because of that, we have a handicap access there, and we also have handicap access on the other side for wheelchairs if they need to be able, with a lift that can bring it
I
forward.
used to bike down that
The ramp?
ramp.
Kira lives across the street.
Oh, okay.
Dad told us not to because we're not allowed.
But
You guys-
thank you, Madam Mayor, for everything observed. I'll take these good looks back to school. Let's go, Tara.
You're welcome anytime.
Even to bike down the ramp.
I'll probably be next year around the same time, starting in the springtime over here. So wait till my second
I really like that rock.
I think you do, it's a reminder for council that in the future, they hold something that to keep in mind. It can be
A
dangerous.
leachate evaporator. Because there's a leachate evaporator.
The leachate evaporator, what it is when in the garbage, in the landfill site, when it rains, So when landfill sites are built, they build them with a clay soil, so nothing can
Seep out, right?
seep out into the soil. And as part of that, when the rains, it goes into, goes through the garbage and that becomes toxic. So we pull that out of the water, that leachate, that liquid, and we put it into ponds that are also properly lined. And then we throw in evaporators, things that are bubbling up the water so that it can start evaporating some of that stuff so that
It's not contaminating groundwater.
it's not contaminating the groundwater, and then what's left is then we dispose of those chemicals appropriately.
Okay, thank you. Good. Have a good day, everyone.
See you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, see you later.
You betcha, take
Bye.
care, have a good summer, yes.
Oh, it was nice, lots of questions.
The last one was pretty smart.
Yeah. Except the kid that was sitting in the back there under the camera, he was sleeping. He slept in his chair, he was snoozing. That was pretty good. Okay, so I guess we could move on to number 6 on our agendas. I believe that is where we are at. And the first item is the Manitoba Good Roads judging competition, and I think we have all the information there.
Yes, Madam
And I know Heather sent a note whether we should put it out there for the general public to put their names forward if they so wish. And I said, sure, go ahead. It worked last year. The gentleman that won self-declared that he wanted to put his property in, and we're fortunate enough to get a winner out of that. So the other thing that I will mention, if any counselors are interested in assisting with judging, they will be looking for some judges this year. I think they were short last year, so they were going to try and get some more bodies that would be interested in going out and judging. So if anybody is interested, just let me know and I will pass your names on. Go ahead.
For best roads, do we plan on singling out a road or just doing anything we could enter like a road for them to look at, for us to?
I think I'm gonna let Heather answer that one because she did ask me that question too, and she had a plan, so go ahead, Heather.
The plan is for Kevin to identify any road that may qualify.
Okay.
And then you guys consider whether we'll send it in or not.
Okay.
Anything else on the Good Roads competition?
And all of that has to be done before June the 30th, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and I think Heather was going to put like the information on the website so that any resident who wanted to put in their property, we just have to, was it last year you had to figure out what category the property fit into? Because there's so many different categories and not, the general public doesn't know what the categories are. So once we have some names here, then we kind of look through it and the staff looks through and see which category they would fit into. Anything else? Okay, so then we can move on to a street name request.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a street name request from a developer, and that's related to the subdivision that came forward for the 2-acre lots. They've identified a road name of Aurora, and we've looked at it, and no concerns from the administration side for that name or the use of that road as for that name purpose. So we just need a resolution from council authorizing the name as per our policy.
Okay, any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Does this have to go in front of the Heritage still, or
As
just
for
as long as
policy, we
okay.
can request for information from the Heritage Committee. At this point, the Heritage Committee still needs to be reestablished since both the major representatives have resigned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I believe you do have a resolution.
Yes, we do. And if I can find myself again. Whereas St. Clement's Policy 324 states council's approval is required for the naming of a new road within a subdivision. Therefore, be it resolved, Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clement's authorize the name of the new road created within subdivision S22 2966, which runs west of Raleigh Road as Aurora Drive.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Spicer, second Counselor Strang. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
So the next item here is the list of officers that are approved for Prairie Bylaw officers. As you may recall, we did this electronically with Councilor Horbis moving it and Councilor Strang seconding it, and it was unanimously approved by council. So we're recorded as that, but we brought it forward as part of the council's documentation.
Okay, and it will end up to be part of these minutes with the mover and the seconder. Yep. Okay, so the next one is a development agreement, I believe.
Yes, so what we have is a development agreement for application for the Goloski application for subdivision 21-2906. And one of the conditions was a development agreement that needed to address the various items that were identified as part of the development agreement. And it's being brought forward for the developer has signed the agreement, it needs confirmation so that the mayor and the CAO can sign as well.
Okay, if we have a resolution, we can bring it forward. I think everybody is okay with this one.
Resolved that the development agreement dated May 15th, 2023 between the Arm of St. Clements and Goloski be accepted and the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign and seal same.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Strang, Councilor Boulanger, seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, go ahead, Councilor Spicer.
Just a confirmation question, so all of these development agreements have been vetted through our legal and all as well?
In this case, this one has, but some development agreements, as you know, I'm trying to move forward to a standardized development agreement so that we can reduce the amount of time we need for legal vetting.
But even then, it'll be vetted legal when it's standardized.
Once it's standardized, and if there's anything outside of the standard, it should go legal, but if it's
Yeah,
standardized, then it shouldn't have.
thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, had a mover, had a seconder. If there are no further questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, AMM June District Resolution, and that's regarding the DFA program.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead.
And so what this is for the DFA program for municipalities, and it's asking for, review of the funding that's related to those municipalities. And as I recall, this was brought forward for council to support.
We originally co-sponsored by resolution,
All right.
but AMM requires us to pass the same resolution. That Storm and
Come on. We supported their
We
resolution.
supported the resolution, but they want us to
Do our own.
do our own. So, whereas the current federal DFAA system provides funding for municipalities to many natural disasters that occur, and whereas municipalities are thankful for this funding program, and whereas municipalities are required to work with the individual provinces, such as the province of Manitoba, via the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, and whereas there is a time lag between payments that municipalities must pay for restoration and the time that they submit expenses claims to the province under these programs, and whereas the local municipalities are then required to carry these costs, thereby incurring interest charges, and whereas these interest charges can negatively affect the local municipalities and their ratepayers, and whereas local municipalities only have one way of raising funds, namely via taxation, therefore be it resolved that the AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to continue to lobby the government of Canada to amend the federal DFAA program to include eligibility for carrying costs such as interest as part of the program. And further be it resolved that the AMM requests the Federation of Canadian Municipalities to lobby the government of Canada on behalf of all Canadian municipalities to have the government of Canada amend the DFAA program to include eligibility for carrying costs as part of the program. Therefore, be it resolved that the AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to reimburse municipalities for any carrying costs that they have incurred for disasters that have occurred over the past 5 years.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Spicer. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, that is carried. Okay. We are 6.6 East Sulphur Fire Department walk-in rescue apparatus.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you may recall, we have had some discussions on this last week, or last meeting, discussing whether we should be proceeding with the purchase as it had come in at a higher price, but there was almost a year delay in receiving the equipment due to supply chain issues, and we felt that it might be advantageous to us to maybe go for 2 at the same time, as we needed another exact replica of this piece of equipment at our East Beaches. Since then, I had discussions with our legal, and our legal has come back and said that it's not going to work out because of the way that the RFP went out, and as we're going to be looking to replace or move to 2, that it would look like we were shopping for the bids and that we could get challenged for that. So I felt that it was most important that we either make a decision on this or not to purchase at all. And I felt that this is the best price we can get at this point in time, and we felt that we could approve this. In the meantime, I've had discussions with the CAO of Alexander, and identified that there are cost increases and that we are looking at replacing one next year. And so we've agreed to set up a meeting with the ARM Alexander and the ARM St. Clements in mid-June and lay that out. And shortly afterwards, once we figure out the financing between the 2 municipalities for the difference in price, we can put the RFP out. The fire chief from East Beaches has reviewed the specifications and is comfortable with going with the exact same specifications.
Go ahead, Councillor Granger.
Did the company indicate any kind of turnaround timeline, like on delivery, or did they speculate on that, or is it unknown, or can they, like?
They identified that it won't be ready till next year.
Okay,
Go ahead, oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
no, that was it.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So just a clarification question. So this is the command unit, right?
Correct.
That we were, okay.
Equipment truck / command unit, yes.
Okay.
Used more as an equipment truck in East Beaches and Narrow, and used more as a command unit and equipment truck in East Sulphur.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
So I know every department's different, everybody, with us having 3 departments, is there any way we can unify to have them that certain trucks, so they're doing stuff the same way for cost-wise for us sitting around the table here? Especially when you have to be replacing their equipment. I don't know, like,
No, thank you for the question. That's a very good question, and as a matter of fact, that is something that I started as a part of the review. So this year we will be doing a review of the various equipment, because we cannot sustain this kind of purchasing through our reserve accounts. And council is putting in some $330,000 a year every year towards the reserves that they can't support when you're buying equipment at $500,000 to $600,000 every year. And so we're going to take a look at what's some of the advantages of what we can do. And it's been the same discussion I just recently had with the CAO of Alexander, who is the board, who works at a 50% cost, saying that their reserves can't handle these kinds of costs that are coming.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead,
Part
Councillor
of the
Sutherland.
discussions would be like extending the cycle here, other than the rotten frame.
Exactly, extending the cycle, as well as looking at maybe usage and where newer equipment or used equipment makes more sense. an opportunity to extend the cycle by getting some used equipment from some other larger municipality that might be, because everyone has their own asset management plan as to how long they'll maintain these pieces of equipment. And so we might be able to acquire some equipment and then not have to replace something that may have been required for 2024 and maybe be able to push it back to 2028, which gives us some opportunity to save enough money to be able to do this properly. So that would be part of that review that I'd like to have somebody come in and do.
Because the frame issue, I understand, like that was because they put some, like a coating. That we shouldn't have any frame issues again, I hope, you know, because that's, there's not many miles put on them, and they're not, they wash them off, it's not like a salt eats them away. Because that was one of the issues, like we, you know, we had no choice but to buy a unit, and I get it, but,
Yeah, these units specifically, there were some issues with the frames
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
were at the coating. Some of the other units, there's been other related information, other problems that have occurred where they've just deteriorated. Unfortunately, we're not getting the mileage on them, but they are still, they're still 25 plus years old in some cases.
I
And the
understand.
problem we have is we acquired a lot of equipment 25 years ago, so we're at that cycle. And what I'd like to do is spread that cycle as you suggested.
And that makes sense, you know, that if they're up 25 years, I get it, you know, but the other ones, the frames went before that cycle,
Yes.
so-called cycle even came to be. So we shouldn't have to worry about frames with the other coating that, I know they won't do that again, but, yeah,
Yeah, that undercoating doesn't work good on
No.
gravel roads.
no, so, okay.
Okay, so we're bringing this forward for approval as part of the purchase price. And whereas the East Selkirk Fire Department is in need of a new walk-in rescue apparatus, and whereas proper procurement was completed and posted on the MERCS system and the RMO website, and whereas council instructs administration to proceed with the purchase and notify both bidders of the results, therefore be it resolved that council approve the purchase of a 2024 walk-in rescue apparatus for $574,405.39 plus all applicable taxes.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, second. Councillor Boulanger, any further discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
This is over budget, is it not? I think we had 550.
Exactly. But there's enough money sitting in the reserves to be able to accommodate for this increase, and then what we'll be doing is, of course, adjusting any other capital purchase in the fire department, any other capital projects to stay within budget.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, anything else? Have a mover, have a seconder. If there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we are at 6.7, which is the leachate evaporator purchase.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this was brought in earlier today. And I apologize for the lateness, but it's a timing issue. It's equipment required that we need for the evaporator system, and it's they looked at it, they went out to our tender, and due to supply chain issues, we need to start ordering it so that we can take advantage of the hot weather, because the evaporators only work in the summer. And so they've gone out to do the tender, and the Pit Boss offer is the one that they've decided to go with. We had identified $250,000 into our budget as part of the process. As we had an operating line of credit given before the budget was approved, I'd given them authority to go ahead and start doing the tendering in advance of the budget getting approved. That's why it's coming back to you so shortly. And so they've come back with a system that's about $182,000 plus change, and it's looking like the best solution we have to date.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
Just a question, how efficient are they then? The only reason I asked this, Debbie, but we thought we had a solution for, with the leachate one. I don't know in what year that was supposed to be our, solve the problems, or most of them there, and then that found out that it didn't work properly, which is, it happens, I guess. So I'm just asking, like, this piece of equipment, like, what's the percentage? Is there any specs on them, like how good they work?
They've done some testing with this, and they found that, if the water is turbulent, it allows it to evaporate faster. That's what these intentions are, so that it can evaporate faster. Yeah, it has been an experiment back and forth, you're right. And I think we need to have sort of a beginning and an end for our leachate program, one way or another. And I've had that discussion with our manager in our water and waste area, and she's looking further into it to see if we can come back with a final report as to where we're sitting.
Yeah, because there's other places that have these, and we could get some information. Yeah, here's how they work great. I'm just curious, I'm not
They've been
saying,
doing-
I'm
they've
not
been
saying we
doing
shouldn't
that,
get
yes.
it, that's not my intent. I just would like to know how good they work.
Go
And
ahead.
if there's other ones in other areas, if we can get a report back on that, that's all.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
It would be nice if we could see if the province, and I don't know if we do, have granting for anybody that has a Class A landfill. This is a repercussion of a Class A landfill, the controlling and management of leachate. Here we are trying to do the best we can with our waste management, and we have this awful toxic goop produced called leachate, and no good way of actually dealing. I mean, I know we spent a lot of money on going really out of the box and creating separate lagoons, and maybe other landfills do that as well, I don't know, but is there any kind of granting that we can look at for provincial funding to help municipalities offset the cost of trying to treat this terrible toxic, I'm gonna call it toxic waste, it's like,
I'm not sure if there is, but I'm sure administration could look into that, but I guess, what bothers me more than anything more, and you kind of alluded to it, it is a Class 1 landfill, and there aren't that many in the province, and the province was the one that kind of guided us along to put in a Class 1 landfill, and they were going to be closing again all the little landfills around the area and sending everybody to our Class 1. And, our municipality and our residents paid for that, and the province did not close any of these smaller landfills, and they're still letting them exist, and we're spending all this money because the province kind of told us to do this, and yet they're not helping us. And I get very frustrated when I start talking about this leachate, and you all know that, so. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Well, and I think I'll echo some of the words the CEO alluded to. Like, I think this is my 5th year on council, and I believe we've been working on leachate for 5 years. And we've probably been working on it before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, at some point in time, I'd like to see a solution. I'd hate to see add up how much we've spent already, because I think it's a big number. Not to say that it didn't need to be done, just at some point in time, I think we need to have some assurances that, well, number one, we're heading in the right direction, and number two, there's an end.
Yep, our public works manager and water waste manager are aware of that as well. They've been exploring. There's been some things, and it's been one of those test and learn. They've been looking at some of the grasses that we've been putting some of the leachate on that have been more tolerant to that kind of chemicals, and they've been doing well. But need to monitor that for a couple of years to be able to tell, are they really doing that? And during that time, it's been just ongoing costs. So definitely I'll ask for a much more detailed report that we can bring back to council, definitely before the next budget cycle again.
Okay, anybody else? else? Go ahead, Councillor Blanche.
I was just trying to think of an innovative way to deal with leachate. It just came to me I'll pass on for administration, some stuff we were looking at about 20 years ago here, and it was a real innovative way to deal with sewage and lagoons. And it was passing the effluent, Alberta does it, it's passing the effluent through a series of about 6 massive cauldrons with plants and everything in them. And at the end of it, at the end of the line of these 6 cauldrons, the effluent is clear. So I'm wondering, sewage can be quite toxic as well, but in terms of leachate, it could be an innovative way that we could set this up at our landfill and treat leachate instead of sewage at a sewage lagoon. So I'll pass on some stuff that I have that we can give to Arleta. Perhaps she can call this company. If we can do it and innovate it to work for leachate at a landfill, it will be a solution to our problem. Because at the end of the line, you get clear effluent.
And if it's something that's innovative, there might be a better chance to get some funding
Yes.
for it.
They've been looking at several different options. One is to put the leachate back right on top of the landfill.
Yes, and that's, but
Okay.
some time ago, we had asked that before we put these leachate ones, and they said no. Even though it's contained within our line, funny you should mention that, but I still don't know why we can't do it. And what their reasoning is.
Well,
Unless they're gonna let us do that now, I don't know.
I think the engineering report at the time was just looking at the concentrations and saying that they were gonna come in so much stronger that there'd be less opportunity to deal or anything. So they came back with this particular solution. It seems like it's still costing us a considerable amount of money because that leachate pond's been created. We've done work around it. We've done some experiments that haven't worked well. In some cases, some haven't worked well. But I think now that Arleta's been looking at it, she's been working with our regulator too. You have to remember, everything we do still has to go through the province to get approval as part of that whole process. But we'll look at some options and we'll come back with a much more thorough report. But for now, I think we need to try to deal with what we have at hand.
Go ahead, Councillor Strain.
I'm just gonna suggest a local person to possibly contact would be Gavin Vanderlyn, that he's doing some kind of project. He brought it up at the last North Chapter.
Right.
Is he doing it on leachates, on landfills? I thought he was doing it more on wastewater, in lagoons and so forth, yes.
Not sure.
But he,
Maybe he can incorporate something for us?
or he may know
Try
of
it.
somebody who does it
Yes.
with the leachate, and
I just thought it was.
there's a big network out there that some of us are not really familiar with, so,
Well, there's an opportunity next week to maybe, or this week, to talk to some
yes,
people.
yes, yeah.
So that'll be something I can certainly look further into. We'll have to see him and come back and report to council.
Okay, so, I don't believe that we did the resolution
Not yet.
for the pit boss.
Be it resolved that council accept the recommendation of the Public Works authorizing the Water and Waste Coordinator to proceed with the purchasing of 2 pit boss sprayless evaporators complete with the weather station system control from IBC Auto Electric as per their quote submitted for the sum of $182,278.19 plus taxes and duties.
Can I
And-
have,
I'm assuming that company installs this, right? Or,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
okay. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strain, Councillor Blanche seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
So there are two additional items that have been brought forward, which are AMM June district resolutions on endangered species and contracting local businesses 6.8 and 6.9. Brought those just for council's attention, and you can receive them as information unless you want to pass those resolutions yourselves. My recommendation is we just receive them as information.
Thank you.
I believe so, yes.
Madam Mayor?
Okay, so that takes us down to our accounts and financial statements. So 7.1 is the closed list of accounts.
So resolved, council approve the May 23rd, 2023 list of accounts, check numbers 23000677 to 23000770 in the amount of $676,032.09 for payment.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Boulanger seconds. Any questions or comments?
Councilor Spicer, did you have any questions you want to ask on this?
I did have a discussion with administration just about, there was a bill from Canadian Tire that was listed as stolen tools, so I just wanted to make sure that we were recording those instances, because it was underneath the $2,500
Okay.
deductible. And the only reason why I say that is because, you know, we hear the RCMP, they tell us to phone them when there's something going on. So if we don't phone them, they don't know. So that was the only reason why
So, just so the council, sorry, Councilor.
Go ahead.
So just the council knows, that was a valid question, and I wanted to make sure I addressed it publicly to let everyone know that we did report this to the RCMP. Our CMP are investigating it. They did come in. There was also some other damage. I've talked to the Public Works Department, so looks like we will be probably going through our insurance, so we'll be looking into that as well. There was some damage to our vehicles as they tried. There was some gas stolen as well. There was.
When did this happen? Like, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
This happened several months ago.
Oh, can I just
Yeah, go ahead.
add to this? October 2022, and the insurance company has already provided us with reimbursement for us to start replacing things. So we have we did receive $11,400 from the insurer.
So there was quite a bit of damage.
There was quite a bit of damage. There was they went into one of the old fire trucks there. They cut the hoses there to steal some of the gas there. They came in from the back of the fence, which has been fixed since then. And there's been several other items, some of which I wasn't aware of, that were taken.
Did they break into the Public Works building itself?
No, just outside.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
And not criticizing, but I mean, I would assume council would have got an email from somebody at Public Works, not so much maybe from administrator, but just from Public Works saying, so council is aware. This is what, like, again, the first I heard of it.
It's a good question, Councillor, and I was made aware of somebody breaking in. I wasn't aware of the details, so I thought it was a minor theft at the time, and I didn't report it to council in October. Greg had informed me that there was a small break-in, so I just assumed it was a small break-in, but I think they discovered a lot of things over time as part of the whole process. I will apologize for that. I should have notified council.
I mean, there's lots of stuff going on. I haven't heard it very much in the village here, but I guess there are areas that there is a lot of vandalism and a lot of theft, so. Okay.
We did get some of them on camera, so they are dealing with the RCMP on it.
Good, good, good. Okay, so are there any other questions on the list of accounts? Because I think that's where we're at. I don't know if the resolution is read yet.
Yeah, we just need to vote.
Vote. I have a mover and I have a seconder, so are there any further questions? There are no further questions. I have a mover and a seconder, and if I can call a question, all favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So the next one, Madam Mayor, is from Triple S Fair, Fair and Rodeo, and as you know, they haven't been able to hold this event for, since COVID, and this is their first year that they're looking at holding the event. They're asking the award for $2,500.
And that's the Egg Society, correct?
That's the
Yeah.
Ag Society, yes. And I know that they're having a tough time, you know, with their finances and getting volunteers and everything like that. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Is that consistent with what we had been giving them in the past?
I think it is, because it was not so much going to, it's for the Egg Society, so
Yeah.
it wasn't the other one that we were, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking if 2,500 is what we used to give.
Last year, we gave them $2,000, and it went towards helping them because they were going through the challenges. This year, they're asking for $2,500.
Yeah, and I think they're still going through some challenges as far as, I guess, both getting volunteers and just the funds that they are collecting, so. Any other questions?
Just one comment on the comment you made. That is so true. I mean, talking to Brett from the Selkirk Record, the challenge they're having and he's having with Selkirk is just finding volunteers for anything to do in Selkirk. He said it's becoming more and more challenging. And as the years go by, it's just hard garnering and gathering volunteers to do what so many have done in the past. It's hard to continue it, so everybody's having challenges.
I think everybody is having challenges, but somewhere along the way, and I know, you know, our fire department does go help with parking on fair weekend and things like that. I know that, you know, some of our guys do go over there. But I guess everybody does have to chip in and try and do a little bit of volunteering. I know this one I've not volunteered at, so. So are we good with $2,500 for this year, or I think you said we gave them 2,000 last year, Deepak?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
So are we good with 2,500, or what are we proposing?
I'd stick with what we gave them last year. Unless you want to give more.
Well, I think they've asked for more, right?
They've asked for $2,500.
Yeah, and we gave them 2,000 last year, so I would be good for 2,500.
Okay.
Anybody else? Comment? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
We have the extra 500 from the Catfish Den that we didn't give them, so. Some of the check didn't go over, so we're good.
Okay,
Green
so
budget.
you have a resolution for that, Deepak.
Resolved, council approve the following 2023 request grant, Triple S Fair Rodeo 2023, $2,500.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second Councillor Strang. Anything further? Hearing and seeing nothing, I will call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried.
I was just gonna also make another comment. We have lots of residents actually that do volunteer that are from St. Clements to
Yes,
that
we do,
too, so.
we do, yeah. Okay, the next one we have is the Stetton District Seniors, New Horizons Seniors.
Yes, Madam Mayor, and this is sort of a new request. We haven't had that before. Make this, and what they're asking for is $500 for the Centennial District area. They've identified their abstract is it's for doing work with the bonus of the seniors, and they've identified their goals and objectives and what they're trying to achieve, and as well as they've identified a budget for honorariums, as well as supplies and participation. So it's basically running of the board itself. And they've also identified board members in here. And the board members are from Bell Lake, Beausejour, Thalberg, Stead, Hillside Beach, and so forth. It looks like we're the only ones receiving this request as opposed to.
Is this something new?
I think they have been around for quite some time, but maybe
Oh.
Yeah, because I'm quite sure that I guess I'm gonna call it STED seniors have been around for quite some time, and it looks like maybe they've made it the Stedden district now to kind of encompass more there. But I'm pretty sure the STED seniors have been around for quite a few years. Go ahead, Scott.
You're correct, they have. I'm not adverse to giving them some funding, but I will echo what our CAO is saying, like, shouldn't we be checking to see if there are other entities that could be approached for funding also?
So council wishes, you can send this back and we'll do further investigation to determine if there's other requests, or are we the only ones being requested to support a group that's part of a larger region?
I think we should, because there's you know, probably there's at least 4 municipalities involved, so.
Like, either we can partner with them, or they can expand the program and we all put some money in, or whatever.
Okay, we'll come back with further information on that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next is another group asking for funds. Yes, and so this is the Red River Operation Cleanup, of which we have been, as you know, they do great work throughout the entire Red River area. They've been working actively on various areas with us. Last year we awarded $3,000. This year they're requesting for $3,500 as part of the ongoing sort of just costs for running this program. As you know, there's a significant amount of work that's been done all along the riverbanks and lakefronts.
Just a comment, it was 35 that the program was rewarded last year.
It was 35?
3 was requested and 5 was suggested extra, so. Yeah.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Along the same lines, so we are one of the contributors to this program?
One of about 10, yeah.
Thank you. So I'll bring this forward. Resolve Council approve the following 2023 requested grant budget for Red River Operation Cleanup, $3,500.
And the mover, please, Councillor Sutherland. Councillor Spicer seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Next one is a new request promoting Aboriginal student success for the Crystal Award Celebration sponsorship. And they're requesting for an amount anywhere from $100 to $1,500. And what it's looking at is promoting students, the Aboriginal student success as part of the program. And they're looking for funding as part of that program.
Is this new also?
This is new. This is the first year we've had this request, and it's supporting through Indigenous youth in Selkirk, Manitoba and surrounding areas. Again, it was one of the last minute requests that's come in. If you'd like, I can get some further information as to see if there's any students that are in ROM that are benefiting.
And when is this is one that was on our invitation list, was it not?
Last council meeting.
Last council meeting, and Councillor
I
Horvis
believe
is,
Council
Horvis is going, because I'm looking here, it's on May the 31st.
Okay. So if you have a counselor going, we should probably.
Pardon me?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Councillor
I'm
Sutherland.
just confirming, I thought Dave and I both went to that.
You can certainly both
Some is
go.
31st, unless there's something else that's
Heather, can you just check? for
Yeah,
me?
I'm looking.
Yeah, Heather's just gonna check. And if two are going, that's fine also.
So if two are going, that is our sponsorship support already, so we can leave it at that.
So, Counselor Corbus and Sutherland are attending the graduation ceremony.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
And the luncheon, we have the mayor and Counselor Corbus attending
And that's on a
on the
different day
17th.
of June.
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
there's two.
luncheon.
Yeah, there's the actual
I'm sorry.
graduation exercises, I guess I wanna call them. And that's on May 31st. And then there's a luncheon on the 17th of June.
Yeah.
okay,
That's what
so
they're
that's the
asking.
one that Dave and I was, on the 31st, okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was attending that.
Go ahead.
I was just for clarification, this is grade 12 graduation, but it's separate from the regular Lord Selkirk School Division grade 12 graduation, yes?
Yes,
Yes.
it is, yes, because this is through the Aboriginal studies, I guess, I want to call it Aboriginal studies, it's for the Aboriginal students, and it's promoting Aboriginal student success. So it is a little different than the regular graduation. So what is the wish? It looks like they might be looking for a donation here, or a,
Yes, as a sponsorship, they've offered multiple levels, $100, $300, $500, $1,000, and $1,500, depending on what level of sponsorships you want to get.
right,
Since you're only buying tickets to the event, you may want to choose a different sponsorship level.
but are we buying tickets to the event, or were we just invited to attend?
Yeah.
I thought we were buying tickets to that event.
No, I believe we just attended, we just double checked that.
Or is that the one on the 17th, maybe, that you're attending? On the 31st, it's, I think we're just attending the
We're
ceremony.
paying $10 a ticket
On the 31st,
on June 17th.
okay, so
The
the
awards.
31st, there's nothing. No
That's just
cost.
a 10 because it's the,
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I
Councilor Swayze.
move we give them $100.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, do you have a resolution
Resolved, council will approve the funding for 2023 requested grant budget promoting Aboriginal student success, $100.
there? Moved by Councilor Spicer, seconded by Councilor Sutherland. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, the last item under the new and other business is the RCMP Selkirk detachment. And they are also looking for someone to attend their golf tournament or a grant toward their golf tournament.
Exactly. And last year, we gave $200 as a grant and didn't send anybody to the golf tournament.
And what is the wish this year, Councilor?
Yeah.
Same thing?
Resolved, council approve the following 2023 requested grant request, Selkirk Community Golf Tournament silent auction prize, or $200. In this case, we will do a Selkirk Community Golf Tournament for $200.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Spicer, Councilor Boulanger seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'm looking at the wording and I'm not sure that I like it, because who's Selkirk Community Golf Tournament? It makes no reference in the RCMP.
So, okay, we'll change that to the RCMP Detachment Selkirk Golf Tournament.
Thank you. Okay, so we are down to bylaws, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is bylaw 3, which is our solid waste and recycling collection program. And this is first reading, so it's just the introduction of this bylaw. But as part of this, there's been a lot of dialogue in the community throughout that. I felt it was important for me to give you a presentation and walk you through it so that it can be on the record. As part of this this process. So what I have is the presentation. Not a lot of slides, Madam Mayor, so I'll go through this very quickly, but it should explain it a little bit better as to where we are. So this is we're bringing forward the RMSA Clement Solid Waste and Recycling Bylaw, and today is the first reading. And so to give you a bit of a context on this, in 2018, Council approved and passed a bylaw for curbside solid waste and recycling collection, and that was to look at how we could provide a much more affordable service during that time. This was introduced as a special service and would be provided on an opt-in basis. And the service was charged to residents as a special service levy, but because it was a special service levy, it was identified for only 5 years. And 5 years has now, from 2018 to June of this year, end of June, it expires. And for what we have been able to determine, to date, the service has been very successful. For almost 2,000 residents have taken advantage of this service. And the purpose of the service was to enhance and promote recycling, which has occurred dramatically by reducing, reusing, and recycling material, and to be environmentally friendly and sustainable, and to lengthen the lifespan of our landfill. As the special service levy, as I mentioned, has been established for 5 years, so Bylaw 14 of 2018 set out the procedures and guidelines for the collection of that special service levy. So as part of that, and it expires June 30th, 2023. Because of that, we have to introduce a new bylaw. So a solid waste and recycling collection bylaw was established, and it was determined that it was better to go through a proper collection process and not go through the same bylaw, which was a special service levy in 2018, which then expires every 5 years, as opposed to putting in a proper utility type of service. So in top of this, in addition to this, there's been discussions with the province of Manitoba that they're looking at as a possibility taking over recycling processing, or require the municipalities that they want to be at 100% recoverable. And as part of that, we're not sure as to when they're still in the process, so we went to Aptera and signed a contract for the next 2 years. And that gave us a sort of a stable price, and then we're extending that contract as part of this. So similar to the previous bylaw, the cost for recycling pickups, the municipality receives those rebates. We get about 80% now. The goal is 100%. And 100% recoverable, and so because of that, we looked at introducing a bylaw that will allow us to charge directly. And as part of that, the bylaw would start only for the last 6 months of the year, because the other bylaw coincidentally 3 of 2018 and bylaw 3 of 2023 are the same numbers, but they start July 1st. And so the fees for the first 6 months of the collection, as established in the special service levy, will be $57.96. And the special service levy, you may recall, was the collection of funds through taxation. And so that will be, anybody that's existing on the program will receive it as $57 on their taxation. And on top of that, they'll receive another, for the rest of the remaining 6 months, a bill in the mail, which will be due in 30 days. And so it kind of aligns well with our taxation collection, which was all received by end of October. Council has also expanded the zone, because there was a request to expand. And then as a special service levy, that was very difficult to go in and expand the zones in the past, and that's one of the reasons we're going to a bylaw, so that we can add people much more easier. You can alleviate some of the problems that existed in the past with the old bylaw that are inherent in special service levies, as well as we can expand the area if there's a demand. And so we had a demand, we had a request to expand, and Zone 5 collection area has been expanded, and I'll cover where that is. The remaining 2 years for the invoicing of this will be in 2024 and 2025, when we find out what's going to be happening with the province of Manitoba, and that will be for $125.84. So we have a static price that's been guaranteed for those 2 years. And that's what will be billed to the residents of September of every year. So the new curbside collection map shows the new curbside collection. As you can see that north of Road 76 North, I think we've added in as a new collection area. And that entire new collection area brings in another 50 some other residents that want to take advantage of this. And in the future, if we need to, I think Aventura is very open to having the collection zones changed. And so Zone 5 has been expanded to the north. The request to expand was received by several residents in the area, and letters were sent out to all residents of the new area, allowing them the opportunity to opt in just as before, and so that they will then have to identify by June 1st. I did find out that there were some problems in the mail, and although we mailed them, some people weren't getting them to a very short period of time option. So we will look at extending, I'll let council know that we'll look at extending the date from June 1st in the sense of not charging them the $25 registration fee at the beginning. And so people are able to sign in any time after June 1st, after our deadline date. That's the advantage of the new bylaw. So if somebody chooses, they haven't responded, the only difference is they would have to pay an administration fee of $25 for processing. And so the new area will begin collections on July 1st of 2023.
Nice.
So as part of this, we did go through an extensive communication plan. As part of this, and as part of that extensive communication plan, we posted the draft bylaw well in advance of first reading on May the 5th. Let everybody know that we also put out letters to all new customers, as well as letters to existing customers, letting them know that the new bylaw was made available. We put the information on our website, made it available. We also posted a record on the 8th and the 18th to let everyone know that this new bylaw was coming forward. And we also communicated with some of the operational changes we were looking at doing. We also put that up on our website. And now it's brought forward for first reading. It gives everybody a chance to review. And on the 13th, we'll be coming for second and third reading with the effective date of July 1st. Note, as I mentioned, the billing date is September 30th. We give 30 days for the payment of those bills every year. And if the invoices are out overdue by 90 days, they'll be added to the taxes, like we do with many of our utilities. Council.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
Just a question, I guess. I wonder, I guess that would probably keep our costs down for the garbage pickup when the government does initiate this program. Because it's only for recycling. And I would think they would go with Ontario because they're picking up the garbage anyway, but that's up to them. But they're supposed to, their program, it's at no cost from what I understand.
Correct, for no cost for recycling.
Yes, so that, in a way, that'll help our garbage pickup. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
just a,
there's a possibility that it could reduce the cost.
you would think.
Then we would go in. We estimated that it'll be at least 2 years, and anticipate they'll probably focus more on the larger zone areas like Winnipeg, not knowing who's going to tie into this, and then we'll see what their expansion is. That's why we signed on to a 2-year contract at this point, and then we'll look at maybe negotiating for a new contract understanding. And it might be that the one who's offering the recycling service is also offering for pickup, garbage pickup, and they have a larger contract, and we might get a better advantage at that point.
Yes.
Don't know.
Okay, just a comment.
Yeah, very good points. Yes.
Councillor Spicer had a question or a comment?
Can you just describe the letter to new customers? Is that only people who requested? Or did you send it to everyone who's not an existing customer?
Everyone who is in the new zone
Zone 5.
Yeah,
only.
so the rest would have to pick up on it on the record if they
On the record.
wanted to come in.
Exactly, on our website.
Okay,
And as well, we will be sending out our newsletter shortly, and that will also get some opportunity. And if people are coming up, council, as it is a bylaw, and it's all, council has the authority to also, I'm telling you what the administration has determined, on the waiving of the registration fee, but if you get a significant uptake from new residents coming in after the July the 1st, council can still look at waiving those
Yeah, because
registration fees.
I'm thinking that you might get some people who are, you know, longtime residents that weren't signed up. They might want to take advantage now.
Exactly, which
Just
leads
because
to,
the change is happening.
which leads to the changes that are happening.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that might help. And so that's one of the other things is there are new bylaw changes. Thank you for the segment, Councilor. So as part of that, one is collection and disposal systems eligibility of service. So it's been amended slightly to address the issue that a residence, if a residence was removed from the property, there would be no use of the curbside service and the carts would be returned to the municipality. This would be the only way to opt out of the service. So that was a significant issue in the past, because since it was set up as a special service levy, it was attached to the property. But if a house burnt down, there was nobody living there, it was still attached as a special service levy, and it was registered for 5 years. And so it was very difficult to be able to manage that kind of a situation. So now there's an opportunity to be able to do that. Another is that it's amended to address that the RM is now billing for the service. So if a resident wants to sign up, instead of paying upfront, so that's what was required previously. So if you signed up anywhere, anytime after the taxes were paid, you had to pay for the entire year upfront. And that required management, and then we had to update our tax rolls and so forth for collection for the year after. Now, basically, administration fee of $25, and they can start the very next month. And so that gives a nice option. As well, a change was made that all new developed properties, so any new subdivisions coming in, will be required to be on curbside. So that'll be something that'll be added into the development agreement as necessary. Addresses condominiums could now have an opportunity to opt in at any point in time and see if there's an opportunity, which is still under the purview of council to make the decision, but having it as a bylaw gives us a lot of flexibility doing that. The other is the frequency of garbage and recycling collection service. Holidays such as Canada Day were removed to give more flexibility for the staff to publish a notice if required. As opposed to it was all built into the previous bylaw, and you couldn't change it if need be. Now we can change it as need be, and we can put the notice out. These are the ones, holidays that we will be observing for garbage pickup, and it'll be changed.
I have a question there.
Yes.
You're talking about the contractor observing holidays?
No. The RM, the holidays will be there, but it's not built into the bylaw itself.
Okay.
We would just publish those as necessary, so council will decide. Right now, the contract is that there are certain days that are observed, and that's it. But if we wanted to change that, or if there was anything negotiated with the contractor, we can do that without having to go into the bylaw itself.
Okay, because right now, it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, like my pickup is Monday. It
Except-
doesn't matter that it's a holiday, they still pick up.
Yes, except for New Year's Day and Canada Day,
Okay,
when it comes into your day.
okay, because I know.
There were
that
some
is-
specific days.
Yeah,
I think we should make sure that our residents know that too, that
Yes.
those 2 holidays,
Yeah.
just so if they.
Yeah, it's posted on our website.
Yeah,
All the
okay.
details are posted, which day they're going to pick up.
If they read the website.
Good question.
Just a reminder to
Yeah.
them, so, yeah.
And so, additional service changes to the solid and waste and recycling. So there were some additional service changes, and there's been a lot of communication on that. I wanted to cover all that. So, in order to address the future costs, a proposal has been put forward for a multi-strat approach to consolidate and reduce expenses for 2 of the transfer stations in the southern portion of the RM where this collection service is available, where a majority of the collection is occurring. The operating hours of the Dunning Road Waste Transfer Station and the Clark Road Waste Transfer Station have been changed, and this didn't come across well as a conversion to PDF. But it is on my website or on my page properly, and we'll update this properly afterwards. But Lebo landfill site, as you can see, is the biggest changes were that on Dunning, we're now over the summer months looking at closing open for Sunday and Monday, and Clark is open from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that gives a total of 5 days in the south, and there's waste transfer stations available for the people that have opted out of the program. So, which brings up, of course, the additional questions. Why these changes? And so, we put up in our website, we created a frequently asked questions and addressed most of these questions, but I want to make sure that we address them here. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to bring up my slides, because this one is not converting well as a PDF. Okay, so as part of this, as mentioned, the operating hours of Dunning Road Waste Transfer Station, Clark Road Waste Transfer Stations will be reduced starting July 1st as part of that program. And why the additional changes? Well, why is the municipality making these changes? The rural municipality is continually striving to promote reduction and reuse of recycling materials, which helps to make the community environmentally friendly and sustainable. Why are you making changes to the transfer stations now? Well, the reason is with the proposed solid waste and recycling collection bylaw, it was a suitable time to review the solid waste services of those transfer stations in the south. The existing waste transfer stations, as mentioned, have not been able to keep up to pace with some of the employment standards and industry requirements in order to maintain these. And we're looking at, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to upgrade, providing electricity, washers, heated facilities in order to operate these on an ongoing basis. And this capital investment is, for those areas was being taken a look at to see if that can be reduced. And these are employment standards that are required on the RM. And so what are the other changes occurring this year with those transfer stations? The changes occurring over the summer this year are just changes to operations for the number of days and times have been adjusted. So the number of days for the south transfer station has been adjusted, and times have been adjusted to deliver the service consistently. So that's what was identified in the colors. As the new curbside collection bylaw will be implemented July 1st, it was proposed having the first change in operations to take effect also on this date, okay, for Dunning and Clark, and from 2 days to 3 days respectively. And there are benefits of having the same business hours between the various locations so that we can operate efficiently. Will there be options available to residents to dispose of their yard waste was one of the more significant questions we received, and we said at present we are only restricting yard waste at Dunning transfer station due to provincial legislation and burning at the transfer station. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Yard waste will still be accepted at all other transfer stations and landfill. Discussions are also occurring with the nearby transfer stations in the nearby municipality to see if they can then receive them. I haven't received any information back yet, but we are also not reducing that. But the problem we have on Dunning is a much more unique situation, which is it has nothing to do with any currently approved subdivisions. It has everything to do with lands that are right next door to Dunning transfer station. The lands right next door to Dunning transfer station are already have the authority, okay, to do development. So the only big change for the burnables is that we cannot receive burnable materials at Dunning. And why? Because there's, with approved development occurring on the commercial industrial property right beside the Dunning Road transfer station. Okay, the Dunning transfer station is causing a situation where we cannot do provincial legislation. So regardless if we were looking at this, we would have had to do this, because the landowners next to the Dunning transfer station have development rights. They're already zoned properly, they were already zoned quite a long time ago. as industrial development and commercial lands, and now they're putting up a building. We cannot burn that close to a building as part of the legislation requirements. So we must be at least set back 400 meters. That's not possible at the Dunning Road transfer station. And so we've said that we would stop receiving any material, and in order to be able to cease burning the material by June 1st, we had to take advantage of the time and the material that was already on site. There was a significant amount of material already in the burn pits, and we only get limited dates that we can do burning on. And especially in Dunning, because there's specific legislation as to when to burn, when we can, and that there's a lot more significant challenge because that transfer station is close to lots of residential already. Some are just beyond the 400 meters, and our fire chief at Narrow Fire Hall has continued to identify that any burning in that area is problematic. And so we took advantage of the pits that were full, and we did our last burn on there on May 9th. And we didn't think that filling up the pits again and taking us to June 1st would be logical to do, accommodate. Now, just so you understand, we also had a fire at the Clark, which brought in last week, which brought in several of our firefighters and several vehicles to come and deal with from the burn pit. Now, the interesting part on that is the burn pit had been burnt already, and it already had finished smoldering. But somehow the winds that had picked up, it took the material and took it over the berm of the burn pits and started burning the land around there. Now you can see why we have to be very careful where we're burning, because there was no indication that there was any possibility. It wasn't one of those where you were burning and there was a problem. It was several days after the burn had occurred, and we still had a problem.
Yep.
And so, will Dunning be closed? The Dunning Station transfer will not be closed this year. That's been made very clear. There's been some miscommunication out there that we're closing any transfer stations. We're not closing any transfer stations until the proper investigation. We have a multi-step approach to take a look at this. Right now, we're reducing the hours, and then we'll be taking a look at which ones we can close only when we can come up with our multi-step approach and have alternatives available to our residents that they can take advantage of that are not on the curbside collection.
And that's good, you've got when it possibly could close. The proposal is looking at closing Dunning Transfer Station by April 1st, 2024.
Correct.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's just putting it out
And
there.
not till, and Clark, not till the fall of
Yeah.
that year. And so, thank you. That's the presentation that I wanted to give to you to highlight what this is about. This will be put on we'll look at putting this also on our website. We'll look at sharing this information also with our link to our newsletter.
Scott and then Rob.
So can you update the presentation on AllNet so
Yes,
it has all,
that's exactly what I'll be doing.
is it cut off?
Yeah, that's, I switched over.
Thank
So
you.
we'll update that right away.
Go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
I just want to thank administration, this process that we went through, this mythology and the thinking and the delivering and the releasing of information step by step, I think is done very well. I think the communication strategy is done very well. I think if anybody wants the information or looks for the information, they're going to find it, and it's a very multi-staged approach. And I think it's very well thought out, and no one, I wish I would get more phone calls, because I will put to rest that, and if you're getting any, pass them on to me, because I'll take, and I'm saying politely, it's done very well. So I don't want anybody to say out there, any rakers, oh, well, you never told us, or information. No, this was done excellent. So thank you for that.
Yes, I think it was done very well, and I think all the pertinent information is there.
Yeah.
The residents will have to look at it and read it, and if somebody decides that it's not what they're wanting and start saying other things out there, I would hope that most residents would call one of us or the office to get the correct information.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and that's the important part here. We need to recognize is that as we share all this, there's still an opportunity for people to receive the information, but there might have been some miscommunication from publicly that isn't consistent with this.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I think the other thing too is carrying on with speaking with our neighbor. I think if that went through,
Definitely.
that this would just be a wash.
Yeah.
Because when we do speak of it down south with the two of the transfer stations next door to each other, everybody does say it is common sense for one of them to shut down. So that's the thing, it's just as long as we are still in talks with our neighbors and we can do something together and work as a team, so.
And I'm sure,
Go ahead.
I'm sure administration has, and Mr. CEO did say he's been in communication with East St. Paul, but I think the next time that one talks to them is to let them know that because we put so much work into our decommissioning strategy, that in order for it to be successful, is for East St. Paul to please indicate yay or nay whether we can work together, because that's going to conclude our hard work that they've worked on, right? If we have that in hand, right? If it all coincides together and our plan comes to be that in 2024 these things all start to close down, that by that time, as Councillor Strang said, East St. Paul has already agreed and the transition is just seamless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just flows.
So if I could, on our website, we've already directed people, and I encourage if anybody contacts you, to go to the website under services. We have the curbside transfer station fact sheet. In those are the same questions in further detail laid out, all the various questions. It also talks about the phase one from July to October 31st is such and such. Along with that, you can take a look at the next one is total operational changes for the transfer station. So it lays it out very clearly that this is July 1st to October 31st. This is the changes phase 2 that will be occurring that we're looking at, and this is the changes to phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. So it goes all the way into 2025 before there's any kind of a significant impact. So we're making sure that everyone is made aware, and then we have opportunities for council to have a second look at, is it working well or not?
And
Go ahead, Councillor
we're
Sutherland.
not leaving anybody in the municipality high and dry. All we do is make the phone call, say, I want to sign up for curbside pickup. And I do believe when the ones that, and not just up south, everywhere, the ones that, the naysayers, when they do have curbside pickup, a few months down the road, they're going to say, oh, I got recycling, I got my garbage, for a very reasonable price. You know, most of them are going to say, we should have done this before, I think. Regardless if East St. Paul doesn't allow us to take anything there. You've got that option. You know, you're not.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, I believe Deepak has completed his presentation on this. And if council is ready, we can bring the bylaw forward for first reading this today. It's not quite evening yet.
Resolved, bylaw 3 of 2023 being a bylaw to regulate and establish controls over residential storage, collection, removal, and disposal of solid waste and recyclables be given first reading.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Belanger, Councillor Sutherland seconds. Any discussion, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried.
So moving on to communication for information, Madam Mayor.
Yes, go right ahead. If there's anything there, I've kind of.
There isn't, but we do have two standing items that we'll cover on
Okay.
communications for information. One is the Henderson 9.7.1, which is the Henderson Sewer curb stop installations. It's in my CAO's report this time as well, but I'll just give the rural update on it today, is that it is starting. Today was the first day that they're starting to do the installations. And so they are starting, I think, out by Limousine Drive, is I think one of the first ones that they're looking at.
No, that's the one.
No, that's,
Limousine?
Is it Limousine? Okay,
No.
sorry, then it's in
Sounds like a good street.
Goodmanson Division.
okay, it's in, I think, well, it's in the
McKay,
McKay subdivision area. They'll be starting in the southeast corner. They have identified within the 4 months, they've already started contacting various individuals, and so we are proceeding with the contract, and we'll be getting regular updates, which I will bring before the council. The other is the St. Clements Activity Center. For the St. Clements Activity Center, our RFP is closed. We had 3 submissions. 2 we're proceeding to the next phase with, and we'll be setting up meetings. Unfortunately, due to the timing, my meeting will be held with them on June the 12th when I return back. And so we'll have a meeting with them to further determine the applicant that we will proceed with as our process. Shortly thereafter, we should be going out to a design-build contractor to do the design-build portion of it. And from what I understand is there's several contractors already waiting to put bids on this contract. Now, so those are the 2 items that I had, and I don't have any other ones for communication information to highlight.
no, I didn't have anything there that needed to be highlighted. So I guess we can move down to council reports. And I'm going to start today with Councilor Spicer.
thank you, Madam Mayor. On May the 10th, we had a regular planning district regular meeting. Not much to talk on that. May the 17th, I went to the Rural Manitoba Economic Development meeting, and our economic development coordinator was also there. He's going to give a report, but also they are going to provide us with all the information that was passed on. There is a number of, we did a bit of a SWOT exercise. So that was part of the meeting, and then they talked about it was kind of an introductory meeting, because this is now, if you remember correctly, at one point the government was involved in this, and then for a while they weren't, and now they are again. So there is a resource library on their website. They do have a data center on their website and an events calendar, and they did go through some data, but they are going to give us access to that. Don't know when, it's supposed to be coming. They did have a request that was put out across the room, that when they request information from municipalities, it's very important that we actually fill it out and send it back to them, because that comes into their data set, as well as, you know, if they have a company that's looking to locate in Manitoba, and they come out and they ask the questions and we don't provide the answers, well, we won't be in the running. The rest of the day was various partner agencies. There is also a training component for municipalities. It's called Community Edge. It's 8 modules that are 3 hours each. And it's through EDAM, the Economic Development Developers Association. There is a suggestion that there are, maybe we don't need to take 8 of them, but there are 3 or 4 of them that would really help elected officials. They suggested also at this time that we were going to go out and spend money on data, just wait for now, because we will get access to all the info that they have. They also have a new Manitoba job portal for hiring people. It's linked with Indeed. So they're hoping that everybody will be using that job portal. So North Forge presented, as well as Futurepreneur and Invest Manitoba and Praise Camp, which used to be Western Diversification, and Innovation Science and Economic Development Canada. And they did talk a little bit about that CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund, and also World Trade Center Winnipeg presented. So we're going to be getting all of that, all of those presentations sent to the municipality for reference if you guys are interested. May the 17th, we had a regular meeting for Gaynor Regional Library. Not much there.
Question?
We are working on succession planning
For the library,
for the library,
okay?
because, as you know, we have a very good librarian, but, you know, it's not going to work forever. So that's something that has to be dealt with.
I think Rob has a question.
On the library, is there, and it may be in camera, I don't need to know all the details, but has there been any more thought on the expansion and the monetary side of things on how it's going to flesh out, and has there been more communication on that? Is there?
My understanding is the CAOs and the librarian are meeting after you get back from holidays.
Yes, June the week of the 12th. I
Okay.
think it's on that Thursday.
So that's where that one sits.
Anything else, Scott?
That's all I have.
We kind of cut you off there, sorry.
No,
about
that's
that.
good.
Okay, Councillor Boulanger.
Just our last council meeting, couple, on the 9th of May, that's all I have to report.
Okay. Councillor Strang.
I only have 2 things to report. May 11th, I did go to attend the Catfish Den. Went there, waited, nothing was going on, contacted the mayor to see if she was coming, because I know she had an event that day. Anyways, it was canceled, and I did get a hold of the gentleman that was putting it on, and he apologized for not getting back to our municipality to say it had been postponed until September, October. And May 15th, we had a Interlake Tourism executive meeting just to go over stuff, information for the EGM. And other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Sutherland.
May 11th, Gordon Howard the Mother's Day tea. So I volunteered to pour high tea and coffee. And it was also attended by Mayor Fiegelkorn and Councillor Corbus. That's it.
That's all you have? Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, and I typed mine out at home and I couldn't get my computer open today, so I'm gonna wing it off my phone here. So, May the 9th, we had our council meeting. May 10th, we had the Red River Planning Board meeting and Councillor Spicer reported on that. And as Councillor Sutherland said, I was also at the Gordon Howard Seniors Mother's Day Tea. It's always kind of a nice event. There wasn't a real big crowd this year though, so I'm not sure whether there was other stuff going on or if people are just not going out as they used to, because I know the last time I was there prior to COVID, it was busy all afternoon and it wasn't this year, so. And then we are into last week and I had a Capital Region WMR, it was an executive committee meeting and I am on the executive along with Reeve Erb and Mayor Gillingham and the two co-chairs of the newly formed committee. And we did discuss a few things there. Most of the items were in camera and I can just let you know of a couple when we are in camera. And I think that's pretty much all I had. Oh, and I was at the announcement last Friday at the Regional Health Center with the two CT scanners. And that's all I have. So I will pass it over to Deepak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So one, which you've, I just did a presentation, which is the solid waste and recycling bylaw, which I'll continue to provide you updates on. The bylaw for curbside collection, including recycling, was brought forward today. And the following communication roll-up plan has been identified in there, and the information was also provided to on our RM website, providing details related to the new bylaw and the operational changes that are being proposed. And the intent is to collect through utility billing, and the contract for the service has been extended by with the existing provider for 1.5 to 2.5 years, depending on what we hear from the province. Daycare's project in East Selkirk, the construction of the daycare building, shell has been completed, and we are awaiting legal review of the standard lease agreement with the daycare providers, and will initiate dialogue with hand-in-hand once received. A revised financial assistance agreement was signed with the province of Manitoba with municipal relations this time, as opposed to the early learning child care center, child care, in order to distribute the funding to the municipalities with the construction of progress payments. It's been a bit of a challenging process. I can certainly discuss that at a financial level in camera with you. Project continues to be on budget due to the design build contract and the contract management that JQ Built has been providing for us. The East Selkirk water treatment as well, you may notice that the building's been put up as well. You may notice a new hydro connection has been added and a new telephone pole was put in, or new hydro pole was put in, and the old one taken out. And that happened last week. At East Selkirk water treatment plant, the water treatment plant is fully operational. And the truck fill is being utilized right now, and we already have some people signed up to get their cards for the truck fill. So it's become quite popular. And letters are being sent to the existing users, which I've shared with council, informing them of the announcement of the completion of the project that they're receiving now. Softened reverse osmosis water. The curb stop connections, we are awaiting municipal board approval for the local improvement district borrowing and expect that in the next couple of weeks. Contractor has begun installation of the curb stops, working from the southeast and progressing north. The contractor expects to complete within the next 4 months. If weather conditions are favorable, the contractor has also begun contacting some of the residents and will continue in the next few weeks. Only those who have voluntarily enrolled in the LID or paid in advance for the curb stops will be the ones that will be installed, and will continue to provide progress reports on this one. St. Clements Activity Center, the RFP for the project manager has closed, and we will be selecting the project manager in June. The project manager will help in submitting for design build for the construction of the building. Plans are to have signage on the site shortly, identifying the project as the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Project, and with the support that we're receiving from the federal and the provincial governments on it. So once we have the project manager selected, as I mentioned earlier, we'll going to the RFP for the design build, and then try to see if we can streamline that process and receive it. I look for some innovation to stay within budget. Now, phase 2 of the regional water and waste projects has begun as well. That's $6.5 million worth of work for the phase 2 of it, which is $3.25 million coming from the province Manitoba Water Services Board. The projects are for the decommissioning of the Lockport wastewater treatment plant, which has already been is being designed and submitted by WSP, and the construction of the water line from East Selkirk to Lockport, which Manitoba Water Services Board has completed and are ready for going to tender very shortly. We are awaiting for the approval of the borrowing for the $2.25 million that we're requesting for this project, and there was an announcement made on May the 2nd by the province of Manitoba about getting our 50% funding. At this point, the project continues to be on track, and tendering should be out very shortly. I've had some general meetings, a financial plan hearing, as you may recall, on the 2nd. We also had the funding announcement on the 2nd, as well as we had a COW meeting on the 2nd, as well as there was the ARM meeting in St. Clements, as well as the RPD meetings on planning files, along with the WMR on daycares and the JQ Built project. I've been also asked to continue and support the JQ Built and WMR on the phase 2 and phase 1B and 2 of the tendering process for the daycares, for the 20-some additional daycares that they're going to be bringing in.
And we're applying for that second phase.
We'll be applying for the third phase.
Right.
And various general meetings with business operations and developers have also occurred. As well, I've also undertaken this year to start providing more monthly updates, to start creating a bit of a dashboard design and looking at the various services. Started rolling out first with the fire department, and this year I've added one more, or this month I've added one more, and I will continue to plan to add as we move forward. So today, first is the fire department, the emergency-based calls. We had 3, one in East Selkirk and 2 in the Narrow Fire Department. That's what we had for the month of March. And one was medical assist, and one was a wildland fire, and the other one was vehicle fire. Obviously, when we get to May, you'll see the transfer station fire, with probably both Narrow and East Selkirk being called out to. As well, we're going to start looking at bylaw enforcement updates. So there are various updates that are related to bylaw enforcement, starting off with animal services, and then we're going to move on to providing the other bylaw updates as well as part of council updates. So the other today on animal control, we had a total of 6 complaints, as well as 2 cautionary cautions were submitted as warnings, and 2 specific patrols where there were problematic areas that they needed to verify, and Tyler sort of coordinates that with them. Most of those were at large, and there was one other, which is related sometimes a little bit more investigation. Now, we have a series of significant number of complaints as categories. I'm only showing you the 2 that kind of recorded now. So next time there'll be additional categories that you'll see that also are recorded as part of that. And I can discuss that with you later as to what those are. The intent here is that we can move forward on this as well. Tyler has also started a new process, which is when they're issuing now warnings and notices, there will be forms filled out because you've got multiple bylaw officers issuing it out there in the summer for us. So this way Tyler can then use that information to report back to council, the kind of warnings we've given, and what we reacted to on some of these things. Once we finish with that, then I want to move on to looking at recreation, public works, and planning related files. I've got Sue right now working with Red River Planning so that we can have a level of exception reporting. So council can know what are some of the planning files that are coming forward and what are some of the files that are being delayed. We get regular stats which will include which are the ones that are approved, and that's an after the fact which has been, what's been approved and what's been done. But what are some of the ones that are sitting in the hopper right now? We may not be able to provide a lot of detail, but at least we can get a general idea. There's some that are sitting there and that can trigger some further investigation from us if necessary to be on top of those. Along with that, Brenna's working on the recreation, so that we'll be providing a monthly update on recreation, so that we can say, these are the recreation programs we're delivering, but on top of that, this is where we are sitting with all our grant programs. So as we receive the grants, we can have a running tally starting this year that we can keep track of what council had allocated towards funding and where are we actually at as we go month to month.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. I think Rob, Scott, and then Sandra. So go ahead, Rob.
Mr. Administrator, is is the process being with the previously hard surface roads? Will the process for 2023 be that our interim public works manager is going to work on getting some engineering out there, or getting some engineering quotes on getting some of these roads looked at in 2023, and that's what we'll do for 2023 is get some engineering done first, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do have a plan to do a reporting on all those. I will discuss that in camera today as to an overall reporting plan for all the various projects that the budget has created.
Okay.
Councillor Spicer.
Thank you for your report, Mr. CAO. There's two things in here that I find quite concerning. We have two bylaws in front of the municipal board for how long? Have they had them? Curbside connections and the
LID.
water and wastewater project.
Yeah. Yes, they've been there since March, I think, or April.
Okay.
March, April.
I don't need to know the answer right now, but I think we need to think of a strategy that we can employ to get them moving.
They are moving very quickly now. I've had discussions with the financial support to the municipal board, and he had signed off on his component. So now it's just waiting for it to go through their cycle of the municipal board to approval, which is,
Construction season is only so many months in the province of Manitoba.
we need to take a look at our borrowing plans. And the challenge we have is sometimes that, in a perfect example of this, is the borrowing bylaws sometimes come with budgets. Otherwise, you're doing borrowing bylaws well in advance of budgets, like the year before, to be able to get it into the municipal board's hands. So we need to take a look at that strategy, and I think how we move forward, and seeing if there's a better method. Now, specifically to these, construction season is coming, but I gave authority to keep going with the tendering process of both of those projects.
I think the largest reason for my concern is that both of these bylaws went forward without objection. So essentially, it's a slam dunk. Why does it take months to get these done?
Yes.
And I do understand things are moving along quick now, but on Councillor Spicer's note, I mean, this is just me, but I'm a big proponent of writing letters to ministers in charge of departments and saying, here's our question, we need some answers, please provide them. And I say that because when you go to the minister involved of these departments and tell them literally what's taking so long, what we're doing as a municipality is we're asking for answers that we're not being given. And I just think it puts the fire under people's feet to start pushing, you know. It's
The
too
an-
late now, but I'm just saying.
The answer on this one is basically the province of Manitoba level of support for the municipal board is basically 1B. When the one person is away, you lost.
I remember you saying that, yeah.
And so this one is something that they need to do, but I think it's a resource issue as opposed to, I think it's a resource and process issue.
Red tape, that shouldn't be red tape, like I said.
No, that's right. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, and I guess I'm bringing this up because, and as I said, I don't need an answer today, but I fully understand and fully have faith in our administration to move things forward. But there are times when things are either not set up appropriately or resourced appropriately, that we need to, as a council, support our administration to make sure that things are moving forward. Like, you know, we're looking at, like, we've already done the ribbon cutting at the water treatment plant, we don't have municipal board approval yet. For example, like, it doesn't seem to make sense to me, and maybe it's just me, but, you know, if there is something we can do to assist, please let us know.
Will do.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
I was just gonna ask, when you were speaking about the recreation, does Brenna have her green team hired, or?
Yes,
So she has-
she's, I know that she's hired the programmer and she's looking to hire the green team, and she'll be hiring at the same time Heather is hiring a couple of summer students that we received as part of our grants as well. So we're putting one summer student in public works to help out with Debbie, especially with the influx of all these utility bills and things that are coming in, and one will be coming into the office here.
Yeah, no, that programming was very positive.
Yeah.
With the, so the start of the recreation.
And I've asked Brenna to concentrate a little bit more on the adult programming this year as well, beyond just the level of programming. Like last year, it was our really first big year of doing a lot of big programming with the children, and it was very successful. And some of the adults were kind of running on their own. Now it's time to try to bring that together as well.
Another thing is just for the benches and the picnic tables have to get something done down at the people that did the donations. So I
Yes.
don't know if the plaques and
I think the plaques are in order, but I can verify on that. The benches and the picnic tables, as well as the sign for the rock on our conciliation road, all need to be completed.
yeah, just we had those great things and then it's like we disappeared from them, but I'm gonna have to see how busy everything is going on. But yes, thank you.
If council wishes, we could have another announcement on all of this.
Okay, anything else, Deepak, that you have to share?
No, Madam Mayor, that's it.
Okay,
Heather, do you have anything that you would like to share with us this afternoon?
Not today.
not today, okay.
I'll start making reports and stuff. Once I'm settled down a bit.
Okay, so I think then if there's nothing more, then we can probably move into camera. Because we do have some in-camera items and we can probably do most of these before we start our planning.
I think so. Resolved, council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be it resolved that all matters discussed are to remain confidential as per section 83(1)(d) of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Spicer seconds, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.